Welcome home, my leadership friends. I'm really excited about today's podcast because I'm going to talk about Jesse Cole and the Savannah Bananas and pull from his book, Fans First. As you may know, I'm a Maxwell leadership trainer, speaker, and coach, and certified by the Maxwell Group, the largest leadership group in the world. As part of our executive and mentorship programs, we are able to participate in something called Live to Lead. I've done that for the past few years. Jesse Cole of the Savannah Bananas blessed us with some awesome program about the Savannah Bananas. I'm going to share his 5 innings with you from his book, Fans First, but it's also in his speech, so you can get it by going to my Live to Lead event, Leadership Walla Walla, which is last Friday in February in Walla Walla at the fairgrounds in the VIP room. Anyway, probably can't get tickets for that because they're limited. The Fans First book has these things, and you can get the Fans First book yourself and look at the 5 innings there. I'm going to add to it some biblical wisdom, some things from the American Marketing Association, MIT, and some Ivy League schools to flesh out those innings. And that's why I'm excited and get down to it. Leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. And that's what John Maxwell says. And it's not a slogan. In fact, for those of us who feel like too much has been given, it's a responsibility, right? To whom much is given, much is expected. Here's the uncomfortable truth that we've danced around in previous episodes, maybe a little bit. If you're in sales, marketing, parenting, marriage, management, or ministry, you're in leadership, whether you like it or not. So you're in leadership whether you like it or not, because you have influence and you are influencing somebody right now, probably. Maybe not actively, but in their minds, they are thinking of you. If you're treating your most important audiences, your customers, your team, your spouse, your kids, like transactions instead of fans, you're leaving influence, joy, and impact on the table. You're not living into your full leadership potential. I am very blessed that my wife is my number one fan. Today, we're going to fix that for you, hopefully, and make you find some fans. We're going to borrow from a framework from one of the most disruptive leaders alive today, Jesse Cole. Again, his book, Fans First, is what I'm pulling from. And you can marry that with scripture, science, and action. Welcome to the 5 innings of fan-based leadership. Inning number 1, eliminate friction. The leadership principle is make it easy to say yes. Remove confusion, remove hassle, remove emotional tax. And in market research, the word convenience shows up a lot. People want things convenient, right? The more convenient it is, the more likely you're to be selected if you're competing with other people. The Savannah Bananas obsess over friction with their ticket sales and parking and rules engagement. If something feels heavy, they try and remove it. What's kind of cool is this has biblical foundation to make straight paths for your feet. Hebrews 12:13. Or, my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Matthew 11:30. God, or the universe, whatever you want to call it, consistently removes unnecessary burden so people can move forward freely. Let it set you free, my friend. Customer fan science. Harvard Business Review shows reducing friction is stronger in driving loyalty than customer satisfaction. AMA research confirms an effort reduction increases repeat behavior more than incentives. So again, removing friction. Usability expert Jacob Nielsen, he found that confusion destroys trust faster than price. Leadership insight, if people feel exhausted dealing with you, they won't follow you. And leadership without followers is lonely. Inning 2, entertain always. But the leadership principle, attention precedes influence. We talked about this in a previous episode, and Gary Vaynerchuk talks about it all the time. We're in an attention-based economy. If people are bored, leadership is already lost. The Bananas don't add entertainment, they design around it. Biblical foundation. I have become all things to all people, so that by all possible means I might save some. 1 Corinthians 9:22. Jesus used stories, humor, shock, silence, and questions. He never lectured without engagement. The customer and fan science on this, if you look at the Journal of Consumer Research, emotional arousal increases memory and advocacy. And AMA, and when I talk about AMA today, I'm talking about the American Marketing Association, Brands that entertain see higher word of mouth velocity. And we know velocity is also correlated with viralness in today's vernacular. Neuroscience confirms dopamine improves learning and recall. And advertising is a lot about recall, because if you don't have recall, you don't have the possibility of being selected because nobody's thought of you, right? That's what recall means. Leadership insight. Serious leaders don't have to be boring. I'm sometimes boring. I have to work on that. Boring leaders are ineffective leaders. Inning 3, experiment constantly. The leadership principle here is fans are built through curiosity, not perfection. Nobody expects you to be perfect. Jesse Cole tests constantly and flubs constantly. Rules, formats, music's roles. Failure is feedback. So don't try and be perfect. The biblical foundation is test everything, hold fast to what is good. So hold fast to what's good, but you can test everything. 1 Thessalonians 5:21 is where that comes from. And faith isn't passive. Scripture invites experimentation with discernment, right? That's kind of the cool thing as we move through time, as we get to experiment and get better at discernment. I hope I get better anyway. Customer and fan science here, if you look at the MIT Sloan School, experimenting organizations outperform rigid ones long term. Let me say that again. Experimenting organizations outperform rigid ones long term. So that's part of what the Savannah Bananas have done, right? They've experimented with all these fun things that create fans that are on a 3 million person waiting list. Can you believe that? For tickets. 3 million people waiting for tickets. The American Marketing Association has long been a proponent of A/B testing, which improves engagement, confidence, and trust. And trust and pride are those big drivers of why people purchase any brand, right? And you want to test pride and trust in what you're doing, because that is backed up by innovation research. And innovation research shows that fans forgive failure faster than stagnation. So if you're boring, you're not going to be selected. But if you make a mistake, people notice that you're trying. Leadership insight. Stagnation kills faster than mistakes. It's kind of surprising, right? Counterintuitive. It doesn't feel like that, because when you make a mistake, it's very painful. But move through those painful mistakes and also engage deeply. That's what we're talking about in inning 4. Engage deeply. Here, the leadership principle is people don't want to be impressed. They want to be seen. And I see you there, and I see you struggling with your marketing. So please listen up. They want to be seen, your fans. And the bananas blur the line between audience and participation. If a fan catches a foul ball, that's an out. That's pretty good engagement. And there's biblical foundation to this again. Jesus saw him. Luke 19:5. Jesus saw him. So we want to be seen. We all want to be seen. We want to be acknowledged. That's why if you look at how to win friends and influence people, saying somebody's name is so important. And I have a person that I'm in class, I'm taking in aviation, and he's a celebrated salesperson. And he greets everybody with a warm welcome using their first name. And it just feels like your mom gave you hot pancakes and a cup of coffee, when he says your name. And remember that your parents were the first to say your name is another way. Those neurons have been firing for a long time. So use people's name. Jesus saw him. Know the condition of your flocks. Proverbs 27:23. So see them, understand them. Engagement is personal, and it always has been. And the first name is another way to connect with people. Customer and fan science. Gallup says emotional engagement predicts loyalty better than satisfaction. We spend a lot of time on customer satisfaction and customer satisfaction science, and engagement is where you get those fans and where you get somebody to refer you. So if you're a customer satisfaction scientist, it's not just customer satisfaction, it's likelihood to buy again and likely to recommend. Those 3 things can really drive who's excited about you. So are you impressing your spouse so much that they are recommending you? I'm not sure what that means, but anyway, you know what I'm saying. It applies to personal relationships as well. If your spouse is not recommending you any way, shape, or form, and that sometimes happens, I've had those relationships. or don't have them now. The American Marketing Association, two-way interaction multiplies lifetime value. And when you look at a customer, you're looking at that lifetime value, right? One of the things that Jesse Cole talks about in the speech that he does for my event is a hotel where somebody was interested in Marilyn Monroe, and they went and got a Marilyn Monroe poster and signed it and put it on the wall for the person to take with them, saying, "Thanks for coming to Los Angeles to visit me." And talk about something that somebody would talk about, right? And is that customer coming back to that hotel if they get a chance? Absolutely. Community psychology shows that belonging outperforms incentives. And I have a podcast colleague who their whole career is based on looking at the science and psychology of belonging. Leadership insight here is followers don't leave organizations. They leave feeling invisible. Now we're coming into inning number 5, empower action. And Tony Robbins says, take massive action, right? The leadership principle here, fans don't just watch, they participate. So your fans are participating when they watch at home. Savannah Bananas empower fans to dance, play, decide, and lead. There's biblical foundations here too. Faith without works is dead, right? James 2:17, and go make disciples, Matthew 28:19. God doesn't call spectators, he calls participants. And you are a participant in leadership, and you are a participant in customer and fan science because you have fans, and the science creates what is often called self-determination theory, where autonomy fuels motivation. The American Marketing Association talks about empowered customers become advocates, and community-driven brands see exponential referral growth from that action. So the leadership insight here is empowerment turns customers into missionaries. There's an ancient thought for you. And why this matter, let's bring it all together. If you eliminate friction, entertain always, experiment constantly, engage deeply, and empower action, you don't just gain customers, you build fans. And fans forgive, promote, protect, and stay. And quite frankly, with the Savannah Bananas, the smiling that I do when I'm participating is pretty fun. And if you're treating your spouse like a transaction, your team like a KPA or a KPI, or your customers like a number, this is your leadership reset to have a little fun, engage, experiment with some things, and create that influence that creates fans, because leadership is influence, influence is emotional, and fans are built on purpose. Use your purpose. If you use your purpose can take care of you, and it's not an accident. Next time you interact with somebody, ask yourself, am I managing the transaction? The great I am, right? I am creating fans and building a fan. Empower your leadership and elevate your image with God in mind. Bless your week. Thank you for tuning in. Like and subscribe, please.